Good morning and welcome to Purpose Driven Finances, where our focus is helping you use your finances to achieve the purpose and plan for your life. And now here's the host of Purpose Driven Finances, Allan Malina with Serwus Capital Management.
Hey, good morning. This is Allan Malina, your host, Purpose Driven Finances, President, Serwus Capital Management. Hope you're having a great Thanksgiving weekend. Hopefully it was a great time and you enjoyed your green bean casserole. I know Rich had one. I had one. You know, it was a great thing.
Got to be on the table, man.
It definitely has to be on the table. Now, it's after Thanksgiving, so we can talk about food. Did you know?
Can you not before Thanksgiving?
Well, I don't want to ruin it for anybody. You know, because our listening base of WLNI is generally more conservative. You know, if I was in Charlottesville or Northern Virginia, they'd be like, we need more of it. And what I want to say next is the green bean casserole was made with green beans, French onions, and cream of mushroom soup. Did you know even if you get the Campbell's, it's made with bioengineered food?
No, I didn't know that.
Yep. Because it was a big to-do about Aldi and these non-name brands. Campbell's soup, if you read the ingredients, made with bioengineered food. Now, the issue that I have with that is it sounds really scary. You know, and Bill Gates, he came out and said, cows produce 6% of the negative emissions in the world. Like, Bill, just shut up. You know, just shut up. You know, that if that was rude to anybody, I don't care. You know, I mean, Bill, how many billions are you worth? And come on, man. You know, get off your private jet. That probably has more. You know,
he's jetting all around the world, talking about the environment and how we can protect the environment.
And then he's talking about cows. And then he goes,
we got to get rid of these cows.
Get rid of the cows.
We need more private jets.
And he said we can 3D print the meat.
Ugh.
Come on, bro. Come on, man. I mean, you know what I've heard, Rich? These people with private jets. I'm not talking about. There's people in Lynchburg who have private jets. You know, I know some of them. You know some of them.
Sure.
But there's a difference between a rich family here in Lynchburg who has a private jet and Bill Gates having a private jet. I mean, I don't know how many billionaires live in Lynchburg. I wouldn't guess very many.
Why is there a difference?
I've heard of billionaires. They're like, I want this special food that's only served in Paris. So they decide to go to dinner in Paris.
Yeah.
On their private jet.
Well, I mean,
that's a little different than you and I. and the millionaires here and the billionaires or millionaires here in Lynchburg. It's a little different.
You know, it is. But again, I mean, I don't begrudge somebody if you've earned enough money and you have $1 billion and you want to fly to Paris on your private jet, great. But then just don't lecture me on how I need an EV.
Exactly.
Right? Because of what my car is doing to the environment.
Exactly.
Like, just like you said, shut up.
Exactly.
Do your thing.
Right.
You know, but please quit preaching to me how I need to live my life when you're doing what you do.
Exactly. That's really the you know, because
we see lots of the liberal or Democratic politicians. I mean, Bernie Sanders is a great example.
Exactly.
He and AOC are doing that tour. They're just flying all over the place talking about how we save the environment. Like, dude,
come on, man.
Please.
Yeah, come on. Exactly. So that little, I like our little rants,
you know,
and I totally agree with you.
Just shut up. Right?
Exactly.
You're exactly right.
Just, exactly.
And, you know, I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, you look at sports, we're obviously both big sports fans, but, you know, I mean, I don't need to be lectured by LeBron James or anybody else about, you know, what we need to be doing socially or politically, or, you know, I mean, and I know they hate this, but really, shut up and dribble.
Exactly. And they don't even dribble now. I mean, you know, in the NBA, you know, when I played basketball, which was like many, many years ago, you know, I fell and they called me for traveling. Now they take like 5 steps. I'm like, come on. You know, I'm like, Dude,
LeBron in politics, it's like, dude, you didn't even go to college.
Right. You know.
Please.
You know, or a famous singer.
Yep.
Telling me about politics. No, I want to go to a concert or a sports venue to get away from politics. It would be so much better.
That's been my big thing, and it really started, in the NFL. Remember, with everybody started taking a knee. Colin Kaepernick,
Right?
Like, please,
Right. But they didn't like it when Tim Tebow did.
right?
Come on, bro.
For a different reason,
Right? Come on, man. But folks, I love our little rants. I hope you enjoyed it too, and I know a lot of you are saying exactly. Shut up out there.
They're saying it to us,
Right? No, they're not. They're enjoying it.
Saying it to me. Shut up, Rich. We want to hear Allan tell us what to do with our money.
Nope. I've heard so much positive stuff. I need to get better at my vernacular. Positive encouragement about our humor. I've been amazed. A finance guy and humor. That normally does not go together. But folks, what we're doing is we're going to talk about portfolio management like we always do the first segment. And the second segment is proactive tax planning in families. And so what I, the first thing I wanted to do is, Rich, one thing that has really surprised me is NVIDIA is starting to show a little bit of cracks. And it's rather interesting. They came out and they beat earnings, I think, 4 or 5% above what was expected. I mean, like 60 or 70, 80%, whatever the number was compared to last year. But the reason cracks are forming is because Meta, Facebook, came out and said, we are going to buy at least 10% or a high percentage of the Google AI chips in replacement of NVIDIA. And so what's happening is the market is like, what's going on here?
Whoa.
Well, and so Google is at all-time highs. NVIDIA is showing some cracks because if companies start using their own manufactured chips or other huge mega caps starts using Google's chips or someone else's, NVIDIA's top dog is, they're going to fall down a little bit.
Yeah, their dominance.
Right. And so it's going to be interesting to see.
I mean, it's still a strong company.
Exactly.
It's not when you're dominating the market
Right.
and everyone's using your stuff. I mean, and you have to anticipate that, don't you?
You do. You
right?
should.
I mean, that's the nature of competition.
Exactly.
It's like, hey, even, like Google's sitting there going, even if we chip away just a little bit at NVIDIA, I mean, that's going to help them.
Right.
Google doesn't need the whole share, but if they can just chip away, and if there are a couple of companies that chip away and create a marketplace for themselves in that space, it hurts NVIDIA.
Exactly. What about Apple? I think they pay 20 or 30 billion, I think 25, 30 billion per year for Google search because it's so good.
Interesting.
And so if companies start doing that with Google, it's amazing what they're doing. Because, when I first heard about search, I was like, how is that going to make money? But they have really expanded it and improved it. And it's kind of exciting. Also, next point is, will there be a December rally? Normally they say the Santa Claus rally, and realistically the Santa Claus rally is like the very end of December. But realistically, people get in a good mood, things start going up. So it's going to be my expectation that they're already looking for the bad news from the U.S. government shutdown is basically already baked in, and we had. Last week you looked up the symbol BMNR. What was it down like 50%?
Yep,
it was ugly. Now, aren't we glad the S&P 500 wasn't down 50%? But that being said, we have if the market the end of the week, this week, but also really next week, if it can actually start going up, it's probably going to have smooth sailing. And looking at GDP for next year, it's the first half of next year look really, really, really strong, and even going out a little bit farther.
Good.
And so, I've mentioned a fourth, a quad 4, which is the basket fire in the second quarter next year. It's not a legitimate true fourth quad 4. And what I mean by that is it's going to be a very shallow quad 4. It's expected that and I'm trying to do this from memory, I think I don't have the exact numbers memorized because I was just looking at it in preparation for the show, but let's pretend it's 3% GDP for the first quarter next year. Second quarter next year is supposed to be like 285.
Allan, let me ask you this. Does it make sense to look ahead in the, in the short to medium term? Unless you're looking super short term, in some of the things you're doing where
Right.
you're making changes based on price and what's happening right at the time,
Mm-hmm.
or to potentially have a much more long-term view, because, as you talk about this,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, it's looking like this is going to happen or that's going to happen, but the world we live in right now is so volatile.
It is.
Like, I mean, everything's on track for, a quadrant 3,
Right.
for this. And then boom, there's a government shutdown and it changes everything. Or, there's I hope I'm remembering the date right, October 7th.
Mm-hmm.
When Israel gets
Right.
attacked,
Mm-hmm.
or a September 11th, or, there are all these things that are, or the president
Mm-hmm.
gets shot, or Charlie
Right.
Kirk, or,
Right.
all these things affect the economy.
Mm-hmm.
And, so trying to predict what's going to happen when all these external factors really impact everything,
Mm-hmm.
it would seem to make it very difficult to plan, a short period of time out.
Right.
It feels like either you have to react instantly,
Mm-hmm.
or just have such a long-term view on different things
Right.
that, does that make sense?
It makes total sense, and it's a great question. And the reason I look at the quads,
Mm-hmm.
and I think people should, is because going out 2, 3, 6 months, it's just put on your radar. It's like coming up in March, April, I'm gonna have to make sure the lawnmower is ready to go for me to start mowing grass.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like, well, I'm not going to really start mowing my grass until May, so I'm going to wait until May 15th. The problem with that is if you have issues with your lawnmower and you try to get it fixed, you probably won't get it done until June.
Mm.
And so all it is being proactive. And the nice benefit of it is, because most of the people I'm talking to right now that that we're on the show with, they have a financial advisor.
Mm-hmm.
Or they have a financial advisor that has dropped them, or they're in a 401k, 403b that they get no help. And so the easy thing to do, that one thing I'm going to roll out next year, is people who have a 401k, 403b who get no help, that, hey, the next quarter we're expecting it to be lower inflation and higher growth, quad 1. And so take on more risk, which all you do is buy a target date fund of like 2060. But if we're going into a quad 3 or quad 4 over the next quarter, hey, just peel back risk, buy a 2030 target date fund. And all you're doing is adjusting the percentage of stocks.
Did you get those backwards?
In a quad 1, you go 2060, you go farther out, more risk. A quad 3 or 4,
Okay, gotcha.
you go like
Yeah,
a 2030.
shorter term, you're
Right.
looking at less risk, more bonds.
Exactly.
Because you're going to need the money earlier. Gotcha.
And so realistically, I've talked about on the show that in Bank of America, the owner of Merrill Lynch, they came out with a study that if you skip the worst 10 drawdowns from like 1920 to now, your returns go up to like 4 million%. No one's going to do that. But if you skip the 10 best ones and the 10 worst drawdowns, which are always in a bear market, your returns are generally 51% higher than if you just buy and hold. And so if you can skip the big drawdowns in your portfolio over time, through market cycles, you're going to significantly outperform just buy and hold. And so that's really the reason why I bring up the quad 4, quad 2, quad 3, is for people who are like, now I get it, that it's just a risk adjustment profile. And like right now, who would think that healthcare is beating the snot out of, which is a great financial term, technology stocks?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, healthcare, there's been days when it's been up 2, 3, 4% in one day in the past few weeks. And so you just make the changes. So folks, we've had a great discussion. I've enjoyed it. What you got?
I think, you know, I mean, I think, you know, 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 I think, I'm looking at it realistically.
Mm-hmm.
The percentage of people that are going to actively manage their 401ks or 403bs has got to be pretty low, doesn't it?
It is pretty low, and part of the reason is they have no idea what to do, and no one's giving them any help. Because when you I don't know all the places you worked, but I've talked to people who work at Centra, who work at BWX, who work at Liberty, and I'm using the big main employers.
Yep.
And they don't get a tremendous amount of help unless they want, hey, what should I do? Most of the time, broker dealers will say, well, you have to pick it.
Right.
They don't give advice, and they'll say diversify it, spread it out. But what does that mean? How do And so, and then the other item, it's amazing how many people I talked to that said, you know what, Allan, 2007, 8, 9, I had no advice for my 401k, and we lost 38% of it. I was scared. I never got back in. And so what ends up happening is because, and it bothers me that 401ks, 403bs, most of the time they're sold and the financial advisor is not available to give them help. I have 401ks, 403bs. Do I always give them help? I don't, because a lot of times people don't want help. But there's a certain group that is listening to me that says, you know what? I log into my computer and I see what's going on. I can make a change 4 times a year. And that's really when I'm trying to help people be proactive.
Gotcha. Okay, good.
And so.
Because, it is tough. I would venture to guess that a vast majority of people don't even know how to log into their 401k.
Exactly. They don't.
They get a statement maybe in the mail or in the email, but they never go to it. They never change anything. It's just, and like you said, it's the target date fund. I'm going to retire, and so I pick the fund and just sit there and hope it works.
Exactly. And it's really sad because I have met a lot of people that they looked at their 401k, and this was old school. This was before the mandates of going into a target date fund according to your age. They were in cash, and they were in cash for 20 years. And that will devastate your retirement. And so, my goal next year is to provide a service. I'm not putting it out now because it's the holidays and people are like, I don't want to hear about it. But really provide a service to where, hey, in my 401k, I get this email that says, hey, take more risk, take less risk. And it's been back tested not only by me, but also a very large firm that all they do is offer advice about portfolios. It gives a greater comfort in order to manage that. So, Rich, since we've had such a great time of chatting, I think we're ready for Thanksgiving. Let's just skip the middle.
We're going to skip the break.
Yeah, because we got 11 minutes.
Client Appreciation Day.
Exactly.
I love these.
Exactly.
I love these.
And so now if you want to advertise on Purpose Driven Finances, let me know. We'll make sure you get your ad on there. But let's go to segment 2.
Okay.
And the key there is last week we talked proactive tax management for really small businesses. And today, Rich, we're talking proactive tax planning for families.
For families. Individuals.
Yes.
Yeah. Private people.
Right.
Businesses.
It's very fresh. And someone visited with me. They don't listen to the radio show, but
shame on them.
They should. But that being said, their tax person, they ask a tax question. They say, go talk to your financial advisor.
The tax person did?
Yeah. I don't know who it was. And I was like, oh, wow, that's exciting.
You're like, this is backwards.
Yes, yes.
Normally you get asked tax questions and you say, look, I'm not a CPA.
Right. But I'll help you. So this disclaimer, I'm not a CPA. Consult your actual tax person.
And hope that he or she answers the question.
Right. For implications for your specific purpose and plan. So,
and this is a good time of year to be doing this, right?
Exactly.
Because people need to, there are certain things that folks can do, financially, right? As far as helping their tax situation, if they're not in a retirement account, tax loss selling to offset gains, different things like that.
Exactly. That's the first thing, tax loss harvesting.
Oh, okay.
That's perfect. What you do is
if you offset gains, I didn't even read this.
The first thing is if you have some stocks or bonds in your portfolio that you have lost money on, I'm not talking about your retirement account or IRA, but a joint account or single account, sell them for the tax loss. Go ahead, and that way you can take it off in your taxes every year, and it offsets your capital gains. So if you have a huge gain in NVIDIA and you said, I want to peel back some of the risk, sell some NVIDIA, sell some something you've lost money on.
Now, just quick point, if you have huge gains in NVIDIA but haven't sold it, you haven't realized those gains,
Right, exactly.
right? So you don't have to offset.
You don't have to offset
until
them.
you sell.
Right, exactly.
And okay.
Right. It's just I was trying to say maybe take some of the risk off.
Mm-hmm.
If you're up 50, 60, 70% from the original cost, 100%, whatever the number is.
Especially what you just talked about earlier with Google kind of chipping away at some of their some of the business that NVIDIA has kind of captured.
It might be a good time to do. Number two is if you are in a IRA 401k that you take a RMD, or if you take a distribution every year, one thing that you can do is you can do a qualified charitable donation. RMD take part of your RMD and gift it to a charity. The nice thing is you bypass paying any taxes, and the charity gets it.
Mm.
I've suggested it. I'm in the Rotary of Forest. I've told them to do it. I work with nonprofits, and I don't charge them to have a donor account to where donors give appreciated securities. We sell it. I don't charge any fees. Neither does Charles Schwab. And it's a great way to, remove income from your adjusted gross tax basis. Number three is charitable trust options. I'm not going to go really in depth here. Let's say in your joint account with you and your wife, you have NVIDIA, you bought it 17 cents or whatever the split value is, and you're like, I have so much built up. What can I do? One thing you can do is set up a trust, a charitable remainder unit trust or annuity trust, and you can bypass 100% of the capital gains, and you can get an income for probably 20 years from that, and you get a huge charitable donation. So that can be very beneficial. Anything? What else you want to talk about next? Or you want me to get in the list?
I don't know much about the charitable trust stuff. So,
okay, yeah.
But I know that there are lots of cool options out there for
are.
people because the RMDs, obviously, the R stands for required.
Right. Exactly.
So once you hit that age, you have to start taking money out of your, and for people who don't need it, really all it is a way for a government to get their tax money.
Exactly.
Right.
It is, right.
Because you've saved it tax-free for all those years, and eventually the government wants it. So they're saying, okay, you've hit this age, now you've got to take the money. We want our taxes. But this charitable trust, if you don't need if you don't need that money, it's a great way to not pay
charitable
taxes.
trust that comes from a joint account, and the RMD comes from your IRAs. Number four is maxing out your retirement accounts. This isn't rocket science. 401ks, SEP, solo 401ks, backdoor Roth, which it works.
Easy.
It is, but I'm like, I don't know, because they say to pay taxes from your saving. You can do a Roth conversion. Also, you can fund an HSA. I would, triple tax advantage, really strong.
What do you mean triple tax advantage?
It builds tax-free, and I think you can take it out tax-free.
Oh, okay.
And there's some new rules that allow you to roll it over into a Roth or something like that. So it can be a huge benefit. Rich, you should get your kids to have a summer internship here at WLNI James River Media.
Should I?
I don't know.
Should I really?
I'm thinking about doing that for one or two of my kids, doing some social media for me.
Mm-hmm.
It gives them an income, but also it gives me if they put money into their retirement account, and you can even do it for kids who aren't working age.
Mm.
It's rather interesting, and so that's now the other two things that I thought we would talk a while about. We've run through these. Is Rich? You ever heard about bunching deductions?
I have not. What is that?
Neither did I. And so as I was really going deeper into the tax implications for try to help get as many tax deductions as you can. Is the nice thing is the U.S. government has really upped the standard deduction for married couples. or even singles. They've really upped it. It's been a very huge benefit. The issue there is it's hard to itemize with all of your deductions and things such as that, because the entire the deduction that the government gives you is pretty high, so it's hard to get there. So one way you can itemize is if you take your expenses that you're going to have next year and front them in this year. Because if you specifically go through and start paying them ahead of time, you can take those deductions. What do I mean?
Give me an example.
Some of the examples is you can prepay charitable gifts. If you're going to do it next year, go ahead and do it this year, and it ups the amounts you can take off. Prepay medical or dental expenses.
But you do have to pay everything this year.
Yeah, pay it this year
in order to get the bunching.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Also, you can prepay property taxes if allowed. I know, Rich. I don't know, because you live in Bedford County. I think you've communicated that. I live in Campbell County. A lot of times, or there's people who live in Lynchburg City. Lynchburg City, their taxes are pretty high. I'm trying to get my sons not to live in Lynchburg City just because of the taxes. And Lynchburg City is a great place to live. I love Lynchburg City. I love the people there. I'm a financial advisor. I'm trying to save them, taxes. So don't throw any eggs at me, Lynchburg City. That being said, what they can do is you normally have bills that come due for your home. The personal property is twice a year, and the taxes for your home is twice a year. Have you ever gone through and it's been a pain, you've been planning, or sometimes you don't plan? I'm not saying you, Rich, but you in general.
Oh, no, I mean, of course. I think that's happened to everybody.
Right.
You don't plan, and then all of a sudden you get that bill at the end of the year, and you go, oh.
Exactly. You know what I do? I pay it monthly. And what ends up happening is it makes the amount that it's in my budget, so I don't ever forget about it. And because in my mortgage, my property taxes on my house are not in my mortgage, so I just pay it monthly. And so what it ends up doing is it smooths out rather than at the end of the year have a big payment.
You know what we do?
What?
My wife started this, so I'll give her the credit. She does a Christmas club where a certain amount of monies come out every year, and obviously there's some interest that's accrued, over time, and then November-ish, boom, there's a lump sum, and that helps with the holidays. That's helps good. With a lot of those different things that come due at the end of the year.
That's really smart. That's really good. And also, if total deductions exceed the standard deductions, you can itemize. So it really helps out. And the problem is year two, you can't repeat it because you front run.
Right. You've already made all those donations and all that.
And costs. So that's an issue.
And that's when you really have to know where you are as far as the deductions go. If you can get over the standard deduction.
Right. Because you know what I hear, Rich? I hear people complain about millionaires and billionaires don't pay their fair share of taxes. Mm-hmm. They pay someone to analyze it. If you're not a multi-millionaire or a billionaire, you have to do the work yourself.
Yep.
And there's only one person that's going to really take care of you, and that's you. The last thing I want to mention is long-term care premium deductions. Here, it's a simple explanation. As you get older, the long-term care deductions actually increase because you can itemize generally. And I think it's like 7.5% of your AGI is medical benefits. But if you have long-term care, it really helps you to go through and itemize. And so it's a huge benefit. Not only you can take care of long-term care, but also lower your tax bracket. So, folks, this has been Allan Malina, your host of Purpose Driven Finances, President of Source Capital Management. My phone number is 434-316-0246. Hope you have a blessed and happy week, and hopefully you had a great Thanksgiving and Black Friday was okay. Talk to you next week.
Returns for illustrative purpose. This is not a suggestion to buy, sell, or use a platform. Only will a suggestion occur after a meeting to determine goals, risk tolerance, and time horizons. Investments involve risks and no guarantee of future results.